Malabistro.
Looks nice. Looks very European.
Well, we're in a nice little town, but they've got parking meters. Ice cream shop for future reference.
Don't stop now. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, ice cream shop now.
Discount 3 for $10. Discount for $10, cashier 3 for $10, sandal for $10, 4 t-shirt $10.
St. John the Baptist Church. These are the gospel in different languages.
Okay, see. This town is called Ain Karim. Ain means, you remember? Spring. Spring. Wow, good job. So, which is also, which means, what's spring? What's Ain?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Karim means vineyard. So this is how this town was called. It was it's a fertile. So, located west of Jerusalem, it's a very beautiful town. Still, it's one of the most beautiful towns actually around Jerusalem. It's my favorite even all over this country. This is the traditional place where John the Baptist was born. Now, in Ain Karim, there are two churches related to the story of St. John. The first one is on the mountain, so like I think when you stand up there, you look that way, or even later on the bus, or going down, you look that way, you're gonna see churches on the other mountain. The churches on the other mountain belong to different denominations, but all of them called the Church of Visitation, which is about Mary visiting her cousin Elizabeth. Okay? And this church is the church of John the Baptist, where John the Baptist was born. The reason that we have two churches related to the story of the visitation or John the Baptist is because the tradition says that when Elizabeth, as an old woman, became pregnant, she was embarrassed to stay in town. Farmers always had their summer houses on the mountains, and they would go to these like small, we call them towers on the mountains in the summertime to watch over their land, their trees, to pick the fruits, to clean the land, to trim the trees, and so on. So the tradition says that when Elizabeth realized that she's pregnant, and that started to show in her, she left her house, she left the town, even it was not the season to go to the tower, to her summer house, and stayed in the summer house away from the village, so people will not start talking about her. For sure, she traveled in a caravan to Jerusalem, and then maybe Joseph and Mary came from Jerusalem on their donkeys to here, which is only like 2 to 3 hours journey. And then they arrived, they came home, they came to Elizabeth's home, and they did not find her. The angels of the Lord appeared to them and told them where Elizabeth is staying. So they went up there, or Mary went up there, and this is where they met. So that's why we call the church is the Church of Visitation.
Blessed be the Lord, God of Israel. He has visited his people and redeemed them. He has raised up for us a mighty Savior in the house of David his servant, as he promised by the lips of holy men, those who were his prophets from of old. A Savior who would free us from our foes, from the hands of all who hate us. So his love for our fathers is fulfilled
and his holy covenant remember. He swore to Abraham our father to grant us that free from fear and safe from the hands of our foes, we might serve him in holiness and justice all the days of our life in his presence. As for you, little child, you shall be called a prophet of God, the Most High. You shall walk ahead of the Lord to prepare his ways before him, to make known to his people their salvation, through forgiveness of all their sins, the loving kindness of the heart of God, who visits us like the dawn from on high. He will give light to those in darkness, those who dwell in the shadow of death, and guide us into the way of peace.
Ice cream.
I know it's
This is the kind of texts I get while I'm overseas.
I said, I'll take 20.
Okay, Sally, what'd you get? You get the pie?
Good. Is it good, Sally?
You can sample.
Who's buying for you now? Ice cream. Buy ice cream.
Hi, do you have chocolate?
We don't have chocolate right now. Everything around is chocolate, but ice cream.
What is that one right there with the white handle?
This one? It's dolce latte.
All right. The line for the ice cream is long.
To come, and you can see why. A great little entertainment place. And thank you for patronizing the ice cream shop. It's a restaurant, but I mean, it's not like a restaurant. It has a few tables in it, but called Habibi. Habibi is affectionate, like, oh, my good buddy, my good friend. Habibi, and it's...
How much time do we have? I have so many thoughts that have been going through my mind because I've really wanted to share and just trying to organize my thoughts. But one thing I want to say first is, Leslie, thank you so much for your organization. I just was pretty floored by how good you were about, you know, informing everybody of everything, and I'm really grateful for that. Okay, what I really wanted to say here was that the day before we went to the Sea of Galilee, I got some news from home about a niece who, she's just the most gorgeous, wonderful girl. She's 23, and she has just been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The family is completely devastated. So my husband told me about this on a short email, and he said, would you say a prayer for her? Well, where do this whole thing happens when I am in, of all places, the Holy Land. And so we go out on the Sea of Galilee the next day and have our service there, and that's when I started praying for my niece. And I prayed for her every church, or most of the churches we went into, and I can't believe that, you know, God put me in this place at this time and this opportunity to, you know, try and help her. And gee, I'm hoping that, like the Muslims on the Dome of the Rock, I get more, or she gets more cred from these prayers. And I just wanted to let you know about this very personal experience, and so it's been really meaningful for me, and I hope she knows in some way that God will be looking out for. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
This is Hadassah Hospital. This is one of the major hospitals in Israel.
What a
Coins
holy
okay,
man.
but as long as they're shekel coins, you know, don't give me all the pennies. All right?
Florida. Plant
Strawberries
City.
from Florida, it said?
Plant City.
Wow.
Yeah, I told we had lots of pancakes and with bananas in them.
There's a statue. No, yeah, I don't know if you all see it or not, but there is like on the top. There's a tower. There's a statue on it, and there behind it there's a building with a red roof. That's a Roman Catholic church. It is called the Lady of the Ark. And on the tower, on the top of that tower, is a statue for Mary, Mother of Jesus, holding baby Jesus, baby Jesus in her hands, stepping on the Ark of the Covenant, representing the new architect for the new covenant. Like she is stepping on the old covenant, holding the architect of the new covenant with her hands.
Yep. Don't forget to pick up a souvenir for somebody.
On the 11th century
Emmaus.
AD, but there were other sites that were identified as Emmaus earlier. One of them was on the 4th century, and those who are going to, do you go to Madaba in Jordan or no?
Yes.
When you go to Madaba, you're going to see an ancient, like old map there on the floor of a church, and in that map it shows Emmaus. That map shows Emmaus, but not this location, but a location like another location which is about 7 miles west of here. Now, the Christians never, they never found the site of Emmaus, or they've never been sure if this is the site of Emmaus or not, because Emmaus is not the name of a town. Emmaus means the warm water spring. Okay, so simply the disciples were traveling. Jesus appeared to them, walked with them, okay, and they stopped in a town at Emmaus, or where Emmaus is. All right, so they stopped, they spent the night, they camped, or in a house, whatever, in a guest house nearby the warm water spring. So there are many water springs around this area, and this is one of them. Falling down, so they decided to take off the old plaster to do a new one. So when they were taking off the plaster, they found paintings, Christian paintings on the walls all around the church.
Baby girl.
Who had a baby?
Kate.
Kate had a baby.
Pounds, 3 ounces.
Kate had a baby girl.
Way ahead.
Yay.
They won't know yet.
So we have a princess in Britain. It's a fig tree. How about that?
Hollyhock, I think.
Hollyhock.
Might be the same thing.
The Muslims erased the faces when they invaded. think the organ pipes are in here. And everybody's going downstairs to see the springs where the disciples stopped with Jesus. There's their organ, and then there's their organ pipes. Take two. There's their organ, and there's their organ pipes.
You read twice.
This is on the road to Emmaus. Now that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about everything that had happened. As they talked and discussed these things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them. But they were kept from recognizing him. And he asked them, "What are you discussing together as you walk along?" They stood still, their faces downcast. And one of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened there in these days?" "What things?" he asked. "About Jesus of Nazareth," they replied. "He was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before God and all the people. The chief priests and our rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. And what is more, it is the 3rd day since all this took place. In addition, some of our women amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, but didn't find his body. And they came and told us that they had seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. Then some of our companions went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but they did not see Jesus." And he said to them, "How foolish you are, and how slow to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Did not the Messiah have to suffer these things and then enter his glory?" Beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. As they approached the village to which they were going, Jesus continued on as if he were going further. But they urged him strongly, "Stay with us, for it is nearly evening, the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. And when he was at the table with them, he took bread. And he gave thanks. And he broke it and he began to give it to them. And then their eyes were opened and they recognized him. And he disappeared from their sight. And they asked each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road and opened the scriptures to us?" And they got up and they returned at once to Jerusalem. And there they found the 11 and those with them assembled together and saying, "It is true, the Lord has risen and has appeared to Simon." Then the two told what had happened on the way and how Jesus was recognized by them when he broke the bread. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Perhaps right here.
Well, this is the last religious stop for us on our trip. And it's really nice to think that 2,000 years later, he is still being made known to us in the breaking of the bread.
If you listen closely, you can hear the spring. It's still water, but there's a trickle, and you can hear it when everything is quiet.